to the cloud, and that should start recording. If you see an okay thing, just hit okay. And I think what I'll do, instead of introducing the speakers myself, is I'm going to let the MC position pass to Mary Elroy, our past, I'll call, I guess, IACT President Emeritus, and panel leader. And Mary, why don't you take it away? Thank you.
Okay, hi. I'm a toy and game inventor and an agent for toy and game inventors. And we have a group tonight of people in the toy business. We all met probably in, walking around in the toy business at the toy shows. Except Kevin, I met you through another way. But anyway, we're gonna break up into, we're gonna each have a few minutes to talk about what we do. And in the order of kind of chronologically how things happen. I mean, first you invent, then you promote, and then it goes on the shelf. So I'd like to interview Kathy. Can we see you?
No, just hold on.
So why don't I introduce Valerie Hybron. There's Kathy. And she's going to talk about her end of the business and what she's done. And oh, by the way, we decided we're going to take questions as we speak rather than wait till the end. So if anybody has any questions, raise your hand, or there's probably something you click on. And we'll take your questions as we speak. Okay.
Michael, I hope you have a book.
Yeah. Okay, so Kathy, Mary, you wanted me to start?
Yeah, I figured Kathy hadn't lit up yet, so I figured I'd get you started.
Okay.
I saw her face.
Here we go.
We're starting with the invention end of it now.
Yeah, the invention end of it. I've been doing this for a good 20 years with, up and down success. I love it. It's so creative and it's a blast. Now, the hard part of it is selling. You can come up with these great ideas, but you have to sell them to a toy company, number one. And number two, you have to protect yourself along the way. I'm sure all inventors will have several stories of getting ripped off or the things not going to their advantage. So that's kind of where I wanted to talk to begin with. I would suggest, this is what I would suggest. There's copyrights and there's patents, which are helpful. But the most important thing is your relationship with the toy company. So you don't want to go running to a lawyer when you have a dispute or you feel like there's a dispute. Even if you think it's the most egregious ripoff in history, you want to approach it with calmness and directly to the people that are involved. Now, this assumes that along the way, as you've been presenting and getting into business with these people, you keep good records. That's the most important thing. You keep track of your email, and whenever you can keep email all in one thread, that's a real advantage. So try to do that. But every contact you have, keep a spreadsheet and put the date in that you submitted it, the date that you got a comment back, the date that you were asked to do X, Y, and Z or whatever. Keep that, because 3 years from now, when something comes up that looks exactly like it and you want to talk about it, you're not going to remember all those things, and you need it in black and white. Having that yourself gives you a way to kindly bring it up and say, hey, this is what happened before. Michael, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I do a database, access database, for the exact same reason.
Yes.
The event at which it was presented, Toy Fair 2022, there wasn't one, was there? But the reason for the pass, which is most of the
most of it, exactly. And that, that is very interesting that you say that, because a lot of times that sticks in the back of your mind. It may not help you out then, but it's sure going to help you out the next time.
Exactly. And who do you present to when, oh, I was at such and such a company, I presented to such and such a person.
There you go.
And, they passed, but somebody else has got the job. I'm going back.
Well, yeah, see, that's the other thing too, is another reason you keep these records is because a lot of times when you need to discuss it again, those people are all gone. There's a lot of shuffling around in the toy industry.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty much the same people, they just go to different companies. But, you know, that's no good. If you talk to Guy X at one company and then he's gone, and then he's at a different company, you still have to talk to Guy Y that's there now, and he needs the background. He
Yeah.
may not, who knows what kind of records they're keeping. They're supposed to be keeping really excellent records, and sometimes they are, a lot of times not. And my experience is that I've often sent a copy of an email and they said, what? He said, what? And so, you know, it's very helpful to have.
Records, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And one or two words for why they passed, you know, because face it, most of the meetings you go to, they pass.
They
It's
pass.
the toy
Yeah.
industry, you know. It's a rare toy fair where you get a deal at toy fair.
Right.
You know, it does happen, but it's a rare thing. But in terms of protection, Valerie, what about patents? What do you?
Well, I
regarding-
have not gotten copyrights because, you know, you have a copyright. Anytime you put your pen on paper, it's copyrighted. You can't use it in a court of law, but you do have the copyright. And the copyrights only protect the look of something. As an inventor, you want to protect what it does and how it does it. So copyrights are not too much to advantage, you know, and I may be wrong, but at least they haven't been for me. I have gotten patents, and I've gotten 3 or 4 patents that have been of varying use. They've gotten infringed.
And what are you going to do? Spend the, you know, money to?
Well, that's it. That's it, Mary. I mean, again, you go to them yourself first before
Yep.
you bring the big guns of a lawyer, and you try to do that. If you have absolutely no give and take in that kind of an exchange, my experience is bringing in the lawyer is not going to help, because they're just going to get in. We're talking on a personal level, and then they're going to bring in the lawyer and they're going to talk on a legal level, and it's the same thing. If they're going to say no, if they're going to absolutely deny that there's any crossover, then they're going to do that with the lawyer, and then you would have to go to court.
And you have to pay for it.
And I mean, you're already paying the lawyer big bucks to speak on your behalf, and going to court, it's outrageous. I mean, I've talked to some inventors that, like this guy that did car stuff, and it was a really good patent that he had, and it was infringed. It took him $600,000 and 3 years, but he won, and he won millions.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but I don't have 600,000 to put up front, you know?
Right.
And I don't know any lawyer that's going to say, oh, sure, you don't have to pay me. Let's see what happens.
There are lawyers who will take contingency. I know one, if you want to talk afterwards. Take a contingency on a patent infringement case.
Yeah.
I think you have a question, Valerie.
What?
I think Susan had a question.
I don't know where you're seeing that. I don't.
Yes, thank you.
Hi,
How,
Susan.
hi, how has the first to invent change in patent law affected your presentation of ideas to your clients, and also your thoughts about patenting?
Yeah, it has changed my thoughts about patenting. I mean, I had my patents already before the change happened. And like I say, they have been somewhat helpful and somewhat not helpful to me. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of money to get those patents. I would say I'm broke even getting the patents. I am not inclined to get them anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just not, you know, and so when I bring this to a company, I will put patenting on the table. Do you think this needs a patent? Do you want to pay for it? How do you want to do this? Because it doesn't make sense for an independent inventor to shell out what could be 20 grand for a patent that doesn't bring money back, you know?
Yeah,
So,
the best deal in the world is if you get a contract where the toy company pays for the patent. And
exactly.
agrees to assign the rights to you.
Of course, then you lose your invention, right? You
Right.
lose your invention
The check
unless
clears.
you construct, there are, although they're, saying that there are ways to structure it so that they have exclusive rights for like 20 years or something. And then you get I mean, I don't know, there are ways around it, but pretty much if you let them pay for the patent, it's their patent.
Now, your inventions are in the tech area.
Yeah,
And so that's
electronics.
different from
Yeah.
me and Kathy, who invent board games. And I also invent activities, but everything's low tech.
Yeah, but so what do you, your patent then is on the way you play the game and what
I
the
don't
elements
patent.
of the
I don't
game
patent
are?
anything. I haven't invented 110 games or something like that. I've patented none of them. I don't know about you, Kathy. Do you patent? Or do you?
No, because the bottom line is if they want to change something before they come to market, they'll change it.
Yeah, they just tweak one thing and it's changed.
Mhm.
And this, but they're way back in the day when CompuServe was, the number one internet provider. There was a big discussion from game inventors about filing patents and for gameplay, and people were saying it's too easy to work around.
It is.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and
As a game inventor, I would just say the one thing I will do is trademark. And the reason is because I happen to be really good at it, which means every company that has launched one of my products has used my name. So obviously I've doing something right.
yeah,
So for that reason, I will make sure the trademark is clear, which is nothing. You can do that yourself online. And if I feel like a project is coming close, then I will go ahead and have my attorney do a trademark, run it up for me. But the thing is, I've known him for years. He doesn't mess around. He just does it. It's, it's good to have a patent trademark attorney as a friend. But as far as, well, like even, what do I want to say? Oh, here we go. Anyhow, I lost it again. That's okay, Mayor.
But Kathy, I was thinking that copyright might be good for you, right? Because you need
Yeah.
the look of the game. And that would be helpful, and it's not expensive,
No,
and you can do
and
it
everything,
online.
you're right, and
Yeah.
everything is copyrighted, and they're usually pretty easy to get. And
Yeah,
at the very least, until you can file for your copyright, as you said earlier, your work is copyrighted. Just do
Right.
C circle, blah, blah, and the date, and you're good. But patents, that's what I was looking for before. Patents are another animal, and they're very expensive. And also you have to have a product where there's some sort of, I don't want to say mechanism, because that's maybe the wrong term, but something that's highly protectable.
right.
like it's my example I always give to inventors is the game Trouble. The gameplay is not that exciting, but it's got a pop-o-matic dice in the middle, and that's what you patent, that pop-o-matic dice.
Right.
And that, sold the game. That.
But that was interesting, Mary, that I talked to that guy, I forgot his name. I talked to him at that Hasbro meeting, and he was saying that it was already in play, this game, Trouble, before his group got it, but it didn't have the Pop-O-Matic. It had something else. So they designed the Pop-O-Matic, got the patent, and relaunched the game to great success.
To great success.
So, yeah.
Susan?
The other part about copyright was that when you're explaining something and you put words to it, that's copyrighted as well.
Right.
Your directions. So that protects you in a game such as Trouble or something else.
Right,
Well,
right.
the things that Kathy.
Again, the thing about games is there's
Directions.
easy workarounds too, though. That's the problem. Is that yes, you can give directions and protect them, and then you have a spinner instead of dice, or
Exactly.
it's worked around somehow. You change something, you change how you keep score, and then you we've worked around it. But maybe Kathy just picked up where Valerie, did you have anything more you wanted to say?
No, I can segue right over to Kathy.
But before you do, can you tell us a couple of things you invented that we might have heard of?
Well, all the things that that really made the market for me or beginning of my career were in giftware. I did a line of cat nutcrackers that were called the Nutcatter Suite. They were out there. God, now I'm going to blank on what the other ones are, but
That's so funny.
but anyway, a lot of oh yeah, the Centennial collection when Teddy Bear turned 100 years old. That was licensed to several giftware people. Oh yes, how can I forget this one? Named after my daughter, is called Theodorables. It was a line of
It is cute.
teddy bears that was the first edition, second edition, third edition, years, and there was a ton of them, and they're still for sale in the secondary market. This was, I don't know how many years ago, and they're still for
Cute
sale in
name.
the secondary market. So people really liked them, I guess. And then now, as far as toys, the last thing I had produced was my animating technology that was done for several plush things, but only in Europe, so that nobody would have seen them there. It's an animating technology where the mouth moves to say words and the eyes blink in sync. So it's an animation for 2D or 3D. It's a little crude. It looks really good on cartoony type characters, not so great on really human characters, because like I say, it's kind of broad, right? But that did okay.
All right. Kathy.
Hiya. So what would you like to know? Not that I know it. You want me to tell you a little bit about what I did, how I did it? All right. Let's see. I started with the game Girl Talk, which turned out to be, to this day, I guess, is the largest selling girls game, unless somebody hasn't told me about something else. I don't know. But it started as a game I played as a kid, and I kept tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it. And by the time I was 30, I had an idea. And Girl Talk became a big brand. There were, oh gosh, I don't know how many products. There were books, and there were this, and there were that, and blah, blah. And then there was Dream Builders. Dream Builders were, I convinced, it was Avi Arad and Tycho to create a building set for girls. Lego for girls, if you will. If anybody wants to know later, I can send you pictures of it. All I can tell you, it was very successful. It was a lot of fun. And my granddaughter has just recently reminded me of that, and she wants me to redo it with some extensions. So I'm gonna have to. Then my favorite game was probably Encore, which is a musical singing game. It was the first music game out there that didn't require rights. So that went real well, and we're going to relaunch that. So that's Encore. Polaroid, I did a camera for them while I was working on a project actually with Hallmark for girls. And I wanted a camera that would shoot out stickers of, I could take a picture of Mary, and then I'd have a sticker of her and put it anywhere I wanted in my scrapbook world. And so I had Hallmark and Polaroid working together, and they were both terrific companies to work with. So it was one of the high spots for me. And finally, I think my very favorite is Lovies. It's not finally, there's a lot of other stuff, but it's not important really. Lovies were stuffed animals that had satin at the bottom. It was a little stuffed bear was the first one, had satin at the bottom, little satin heart. And the whole idea is that they were blankies for little ones. And they sold, two different companies bought them. Applause bought them, and then Dakin. Then they went out of business. That was a nasty story. I luckily wasn't involved. Then it went to a third company, and then we got knocked off in a flurry to the tune of 300 million pieces.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
What do you do? You know, my feeling was, I've told you before, I create stuff because it's for somebody I love. And I really wanted something for little ones, for toddlers. I wanted something that made them feel connected to other toddlers. And in any event, it worked. All my grandchildren, all 7 of them, carry them, which is kind of cool. One of them has twin hippies or hippopotamuses. So that's really good. What I've done is I've got the trademark back, and I've got the designs for the first probably dozen, 10 to 12, which really are the only ones that matter, because the rest of them were sort of knocked off as they went. So I don't know. I'm just waiting to find a company that is interested in doing a plush piece, but is serious about it, because I have no reason to play games, or I'd rather it not get done, obviously.
Now you're well known in the toy industry. I mean, your name is well known, but how did you get in the door to sell Girl Talk? I mean, everybody here who wants to go into business is probably wondering, how do I get in it? How do I do it?
Girl Talk really wasn't the hardest one to sell. I don't.
But it was the first, right? It was
the first, and the reason it sold is because they had been doing their homework. They knew that there was room, big room, for a game for girls. Because remember, at that time, there were no games for girls, with the exception of, I can't remember, something from the 50s or whatever, but there were no games. Yeah, no, that came after Girl Talk. So I can't remember exactly what it was. I'll remember at some point.
But you got in the door. I mean, I think that's where a lot of people have problems, is getting.
Well, what happened was I was working with a woman who was doing illustration for me. She was just a sweetheart. She was really very nice person. Bonnie. I don't remember her last name. I think she was from Texas originally. In any event, she had a contact with Western. And she says, I think you ought to show this. And God knows why, but I got on an airplane and went and showed it. And it makes, you know, unless you're a complete dud when you speak to people, I always think it's better if you can make a presentation, which is why I'm not all that excited or jumping through hoops at this stage right now, because everything is we're also isolated. You know,
it is, Kathy. I don't think you can really avoid having to somehow send in images and explanation, etc. first before you get a conversation.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
Is there a way around that? I don't think so these days.
I just did it with Hasbro.
Yeah, I do it with Mattel
in May.
In the portal.
I think, I think it's a question in part, if you have a relationship with these people.
Yeah.
And also what's going on inside of them. We don't have a clue. We truly don't have any idea of, you know, whether they're getting ready to lay off a bunch of staff, or whether they're getting a new president or whatever. I think you pretty much have to assume that you're starting over every time. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I can say a Girl Talk Encore, blah, blah, blah. And if you're a new person in the front line of that company, you never heard of those things. I mean, it's true. A lot of people who are, you know, they're millennials or whatever, and they don't know from this.
Right.
I asked my son, I said, what do you remember? And he said, my buddy. That was his favorite toy, my buddy. I remember the song from the commercial, but in the event, I don't think we need be as pessimistic as we are, and I don't think it's necessarily rocket science that we have to invent, but I do think that it's absolutely essential that you have done your homework and you know why kids will play with this thing. You know why parents are going to want it, and you know why the buyer is going to want it. You know, what problems have you solved for them? Because they see everything as a problem, right? And generally speaking, I have found since the very beginning that most companies don't want to take risks.
Right.
Okay, so you need to understand, you know, that is why I pretty much left the business, and I don't mean to say that set in stone, but I stayed away from it for quite a long time because all that I was getting that people want, oh, gee, Kath, great idea. Can you do this in Sex and the City for us?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Can you make it work with, you know, like Marvel?
How about Pretty Little Liars? How about, I mean, you know, they did Girl Talk Jenga, you know, it was just nonstop, this stuff. And I really was getting confused. So I've been focusing on some of the smaller companies that have come out. They're probably not going to make you as much money, but in terms of starting a relationship, it might be a nice place to start.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going in order here, we decided. And you know, the first two people who spoke were pure inventors. That's what they do. I wear kind of two hats. I'm an inventor agent, and what I think perfected to the best of my ability is doing the pitch video, which is what I do to you know, I do a lot of Zoom presentations with toy companies, and especially Europeans. I don't travel to Europe. I just get on Zoom with them. And what their takeaway is, they don't, back in the day, you know, I used to, when I first started in this business, I'd sit down and have a game. Let's say it's a card game, and I'd be dealing out the cards, but I would stack the deck so that they would get a really cool play that would make them happy. But the problem was you screw up one card and the whole thing, you know, goes away. So I learned how to make videos of happy people using product. You know, where you not only just videos of real people, but animated videos where cards are moving around and they land in the right place and you get the cool move.
Oh, you fed it right back to him there.
Yeah, you just, you know, so that I don't say I perfected it, but I got it to the point where I feel pretty comfortable doing that. And I was just telling everybody, we had a little pre-meeting and about a meeting with a toy company executive, giving a presentation, early video days, and he was going like this, like, get to the point. I don't want to hear about, you know, your background or this or that, or, you know, I want to know what I'm buying, what I'm tooling up for, you know, how fun it is, how it plays, you know, and you've got a minute and a half, you know. So the takeaway from my meetings is the video. Not everybody does that, but that's what I do, because as an agent, I would go into a meeting, I would have a half hour and I would have 8 games. So I would pretty quickly and succinctly show the games and then leave the video as a takeaway. And I didn't even, you know, back in the day, I used to put it in a CD in an envelope and mail it. You know, now you just send them a Zoom link, not a Zoom link, but a YouTube link, you know, or the file, you know, and so that is what I learned to do. And what I learned was how to do the video. They like to see what they want to know, what it looks like. Then they want to know, if you show people playing, you don't always know what's going on, but you can move the cards around in an animation and have them, you know, this card goes there, you know, and that's the kind of thing that I learned to do. And that's and I use a program called Power Director, but if you know Adobe, you know, that's really better. But
GarageBand.
hmm?
GarageBand works well. GarageBand,
How do you spell that?
clean out your garage.
Oh, GarageBand. Oh, I thought you said, oh, never mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's just for vocals.
Yeah, but you can bring the videos in and you can it's a long story.
Everybody's got their techniques for sure.
Right.
Power
Right.
Director is very, very resource heavy. My computer constantly has to be rebooted, even though I have like super duper computer with everything and
What's
lots
that
of
one called, Mayor? Power to,
it's
what's it
Power
called?
Director. Yeah, it's
oh, power.
yeah, it's pretty intuitive and it's pretty easy to work with. But it took me years. I mean, it does take years to, you know, get to the point where you feel pretty comfortable. But I ended up doing, you know, videos for other agents, clients, and other products outside of toys. It just sort of morphed into, you know, other things. I've got 2 horticulture clients right now. But
Oh,
yeah, and I don't even garden. I think I'm going to start gardening though. I really love this stuff. I really do. I'm blown away at the beauty of some of these plants. But anyway, so you know, I'm doing it differently than Kathy and Valerie, but my way is, you know, the video, the leave behind, I like to hit them on the head with it, and you know, if it's a complicated game, I don't go into the details. I go into the feeling that you get when you're playing. You know, you show a move and you go, oh, this guy might be thinking about this, you know, and kind of that's how I set it up, you know. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. Oh, the board's lighting up. All right, so that's my thing. And Kevin is the sort of first and last place, actually.
Sure.
And that's his own toy and game, or actually game company, where he goes to retail and he pitches to retail, and he also meets inventors. So he's all over the place with his company.
Right.
Is that a good introduction, Kevin?
That works for me. And I first met Mary about 13 years ago, and Mary licensed my first game, and that's how I got into the game business. And if you go back to those that are interested, about 2 years ago, I think it was January of 22, I did an hour-long presentation on IACT. So if anybody wants to hear the complete story about Tenzi, which is the game that my business partner and I introduced, it's there in January 22. So I won't go into that whole story here and now. I will tell you, you know, earlier we were talking about trademarks. My understanding is, you know, what I can trademark is the name. I can copyright my rules. There is nothing to be patented here. I cannot patent 40 dice. And the gameplay on this is extremely simple and is therefore very rip-offable. So our whole approach was build the brand name of Tenzi, build the brand, build the brand, build the brand, so that you can, that becomes your insurance. So if you go on to Amazon now, people can buy, so there's 40 dice in here, people can buy 100 dice for half the price that we sell a Tenzi for. But the good news is, in their description, they'll say, and you can play Tenzi with this. So we look at it as, hey, we're not going to beat that market. Our margins need to be bigger than they are, and our name is getting out there. So in a way, we don't care if people are, you know, ideally they're going to be buying Tenzi and buying it as a gift, playing Tenzi, talking about Tenzi. But there's plenty of people, teachers, for example, that might buy dice in bulk and play Tenzi that way, but they're still calling it Tenzi and building that brand. And again, that's our insurance. What led to our success very briefly was the packaging. It wasn't like most packages that you'd see in the toy store. It was not in a box. I think because we didn't know what we were doing, we are a couple of consumer packaged good guys. We put it in this package. The price point, the retail price point was $14.95. That was 10 years ago. It's now $16.95. So it had a good price point. And the gameplay, as with all our games, is super, super simple. So all ages, all family can play. The one thing I did want to mention that was a discovery over time, and I'll show you this, is the power and the importance of merchandising in store. So for example, I once talked to a retailer. I said, well, when a shopper comes in, what percentage of the time do they say, hey, I'm looking for a game for a kid or whatever. Do you have any ideas? And they said probably 70 or 80% of the time, when somebody walks into the store, they're going to the clerk or the manager and saying, do you have any ideas? So one of the things that helped make us very successful, I'm tilting my Zoom here to show you, is we created this rack. That rack here holds, I can't do both, it holds 9 games. And what we said was to the retailers, when we first introduced it, unlike in supermarkets where you have to pay for that very critical space, we went up to the specialty mom and pop toy store owners and we said, we have this new game, it's called Tenzi, it plays very simple, very fast. Would you be willing to put our display rack up by your checkout along with, and we gave them a free demo game to go along with it. And every single retailer pretty much said, sure, there was no added cost. And that rack right there, along with the demo game, really helped launch us. So one thing to consider when you're going in the game business, beyond the game itself and the importance of that and the gameplay and all that, is, okay, what happens when it's in the store? Is it getting the support that it needs to set itself out from 5,000 other games that are going to be in that store? So that's one thing.
Are you still up front, Kevin, with a rack?
Say what? What's that?
Are you still up front with a rack?
Over time, we've been out for about 12 years, so you will still find it. It's not going to be at checkout anymore, but it's out on the shelf. But most of them have that. And then we came up with a rack, and one of the retailers said it, and we never would have come up with this. One retailer said, you need a wall of Tenzis. So we created a floor rack that held 104 Tenzi games. And the stores that brought that in sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. Never would have come up with that idea on our own. So the retailer helped us with that idea. So that was it. I'll mention just a couple of scares that we've had. There are always going to be minefields out there that you just know that there will be minefields. You don't know where they're going to come. A few years ago when Steve was telling the story, our story about Tenzi, one of the things he mentioned was that early on, the glue on the bottom was very loose and the bottoms of the dice games were falling off, and stores, as much as they loved the game, they weren't loving the fact that they had dice all over the floor of their stores. So we immediately had to get the bottoms reinforced. So that was a scare we had. Another scare we had, we were selling so many of these early on that the factory was producing them as fast as they could, and they weren't drying the dice. So the pips or the dots in the middle are painted, and then there's a solvent that they use just to wipe off the paint. And it's not harmful, but it had a lingering smell to it. So that was a heavy danger point where you'd open a Tenzi and there'd be this faint smell, but there was a smell of solvent, not good. So we had to fix that and had a few ways at that. And most recently, it's a new game that we have coming out. We have about 5 games, and they all fit the formula of simple, fast fun. Our newest game, which I have over here, we ordered thousands of these. And right before we had them shipped over from Asia, we said, send us a couple dozen before you send the shipment over. And we got this couple dozen and we looked at them, and on 3 levels, they were wrong. The rules were the old rules. The color wasn't matched correctly. So we had to put a stop on thousands of games that had been produced and missed the holiday season because of that. And we still haven't, we're in the throes of just about finishing now, but again, surprises will happen. And one other surprise we got was we got a false positive. So we have this game called Pairsy. It too is a simple, fast game, but not as simple as our other games. But when we went to a trade show and we introduced it, the trade loved it. We had fun with them. They loved it. They screamed and yelled. It was wonderful. And they all ordered it. And we got a false read because they all ordered it. And we bought a whole bunch of games. And what we were doing the first 3 months was filling up the pipeline in the store. And after we had ordered lots and lots of games, the sales of this particular game slowed down rather dramatically because it was a little harder to explain in the store. So we still have plenty of these available, and we give them out as, donations, or some stores still buy it. The game plays well, it gets good reviews on Amazon, but it's a slow mover for us. So we again, got a false positive and not, and we haven't thought through the pipeline, and that was giving us a read that we were moving a lot more than we actually were to the end consumer. So those were some of the lessons that we've learned along the way.
Kevin, do inventors come to you with ideas and want to sell their games to you?
They do. In fact, 2 days from now, somebody is coming to us with an idea. So I'd say once every few months somebody does. My son, Colin, has come up with 3 of our best-selling games because he had me over his shoulder day in and day out, and he had Steve, my business partner, over his shoulder, and we kept saying simple, simple, simple. That's our formula. There's lots of different games out there. Some are very sophisticated, and that's fine. It's just not our model. So when people do pitch us, we implore them and we let them know that our game is so simple. I say it makes rock, paper, scissors look like a Mensa test. That's how simple our games are. And I will tell them that when I'm coming up, when I'm looking at game ideas, what I'm envisioning is I'm at a trade show and a retailer walks up to me. Within 15, 20 seconds, they should understand how to play the game, and then they're playing it and they're laughing 15 seconds later. That is our formula. Again, it doesn't have to be everybody's formula, but it's our formula. So knowing that, when somebody pitches an idea, if they're into second 31, I'm starting to lose it, because I just know that at the very end of the food chain, that retailer or the clerk, the staff person, is going to have to explain a game to mom who's in the store who wants to get out of that store. So we implore anybody that's working with us that it has to be explained in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I bet.
For us.
Do people open up the game and play it with you, or how?
Well, a lot, as we said before, a lot of it's virtual. So the meeting in a few days will be somebody in the UK, and they'll show it to us virtually, but we'll have a good sense of it right away. And then Steve and I, my business partner, we connect right afterwards and we say, you know, yes, no, or does it have a possibility?
Great. Does anybody have any questions? Ask away.
Yeah.
Isaac, your stuff looks a lot more complex.
I would ask Michael, what gave him the idea to produce it on his own?
For us, Kathy,
Mm.
well, I had said to Steve, let's see if we can come up with a game idea. And Steve, I bought a whole bunch of dice, and Steve came over 2 weeks later. He goes, I think I have it. And the game is you roll 10, everybody gets 10 dice, thus the name Tenzi. You roll them as fast as possible, and whoever can collect 10 of the same number before anybody else can, that's how simple it is, yells Tenzi and wins. And I said, well, okay. We played it and it was fun. And we considered licensing it, but Steve had some time on his hand. He had an interest in doing it. He said, I think we can market this ourselves because it's just dice. We can source dice. Steve is a great marketer. His instincts are wonderful. And we have a buddy who's a packaging person. So we developed prototypes on our own, and we just started knocking on doors locally. And when they blew out of the stores, then we went into a few more stores, and they blew out of those stores. So it took us 1.5 years before we finally said, I think we can go national with it. But we took little pieces along the way before we made that final decision.
Right. No, that's
Kevin, I've got a basic question for you. Had you considered using something like crowdfunding, such as Kickstarter, to test the market before you start ordering product?
I start to shake when technology is presented to me. So I think I wasn't comfortable with it. It was still new at that time, Doug. And I'm old school and Steve's old school. And we said, well, let's just start knocking on doors. So we probably would have if we had a higher comfort level, and if it was a little later on in the life of that. We said, oh, let's try it that way. But we just went old school with it.
Kickstarter is expensive too. It's
5% for the credit card processing and another 5% for the commission. So you got to allocate something because they're a platform and they get you out there. And then it removes the inventory risk. If you have the money's encumbered and you met your goal, at least you know you're not going to be stuck with a bunch of product in your living room.
You got to pay for a professional video too, a good high level professional video.
I always made crappy videos for myself, but you're right. Better videos would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more than one way to use Kickstarter. And this is very much in sort of my area of the space. Kickstarter's largest category is games, and most of those games are in the specialty and hobby markets. And so there are ways to use Kickstarter as a shot at 7 and 8 figure type campaigns where you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially on marketing up front.
Yeah.
Creating slick videos and animations and 3D rules teaches
Right.
up front, but there are also ways to use Kickstarter to raise as little as $10,000 with kind of a shoestring approach. They're very, very different, even though they're just on the same website. They have different strategies, different approaches.
I'll just add, by the way, if anybody wants to talk further, and we love kind of coaching people, there's no charge for it. We love working with inventors to help them along if they're trying to get into the market. So feel free to reach Kevin at Tenzi, Tenzi. Shoot me an email and we can set up a conversation. Happy to help you.
And I would like to invite the panelists to send me links so that I can post them under their bios. I think people would be really interested in seeing your product lines and maybe a link directly to your websites if you have them.
You want me to send us to send it through the chat or email them to you, or
Yeah, if you email it to me, I'll post it to the website.
Okay. All right.
So I'm getting a sense we're winding down. I'd like to do a shameless plug for our next speaker, if that's all right.
Sure.
We're going to have Mike Weinstein, the ex-chief marketing officer of All Star Products, which brought to you the famous As Seen on TV,
Oh, cool.
home of the Bacon Bowl and Snuggie and Chamois, all
Oh,
here
Chamois.
at the same Zoom time and same Zoom channel on the 26th of March, and that'll be next month. So I hope you'll all join me, and I hope you'll join me in thanking the panelists. This was a great presentation. Thanks very much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Doug. Thanks, Mary.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Valerie and
Have a
Kathy.
good evening, everyone.
you.
We should all get game
Night.
people get together sometime later.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Game night.
Bye-bye.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.